I will present to you this project on the behalf of my colleagues, Lena Pareto, Department of Economics and IT, University West, Trollhättan, Sweden, Tor Arne Wöllner, Vestfold University College, Norway, Bent Lindhart, Leif Weibeck, and Karsten Günther, University College Sjælland, Denmark. Overview of presentation. I will first present the overall GNU project, then the purpose of the study, the construction of the Gnubic cube for mathematics, the use of Gnubic cube for pedagogical analysis, and the benefit of Gnubic cube for ID generation and planning in the next phase of the GNU project. The GNU project. The GNU project is a EU-funded project related to cross-border collaboration for educational purposes, supported by information and communication technologies between Danish, Norwegian and Swedish schools. 18 classes from 13 different schools in phase 1 between 2011-2012 have participating, involving 29 teachers and more than 600 students. The aim of the project is to develop innovative cross-border teaching models by the means of user-driven, practice-based co-design processes between practitioners and researchers. The 4 subject domains that the project focuses on is on science, mother tongue, history, social science, and mathematics. The purpose. It was not obvious whether GNU activities gave topic-related added value, and if it does, what is it generated by? This could be particularly difficult in mathematics, it was argued. Therefore, the researchers wanted to help as well as support what is required in order to come up with meaningful GNU activities. The Gnubic cube. One of the ideas in order to help out and provide support in order to find out about added value for the subject domain of mathematics was classifications of GNU scenarios. For example, finding out about subject areas where the GNU task belongs to. 2. What kind of competences should be trained? And 3. The intended added value of the GNU scenario. The researchers from Sweden, Denmark, and Norway started to analyze each nation's mathematical curriculum in order to find out about overlapping themes that could be framed as key content, competences, and added values. What they did was they took the curriculums, read them through, and tried to find out similarities that they could work in relation to. For example, this is a slide showing how thoroughly they went through the different national curriculum, here called LGR 11. From different pages, they found out about content in relation to different subject areas. One question that emerged that also showed that there were differences between the 3 nations was, for example, how problem solving should be viewed. Is problem solving a competence or a key content? They looked through the national curriculums. They then decided to adopt the Danish model and integrated problem solving as a competence in the Gnubic cube, since it became increasingly apparent that the competence of problem solving can be used in all the various subject areas. Finally, they then came up with 8 competences that could be present in the Gnubic cube. And they were 1. Thought processes, 2. Problem processing, 3. Modeling, 4. Reasoning, 5. Representation, 6. Symbol processing and formalism, 7. Communication, and 8. The use of tools. Here again we can also see an example how the different national curriculum corresponded to one another. For example, the 7 first competences are actually in the summary of mathematical competences in Lgr 11, which is the Swedish national curriculum. Here are additional clarifications how the curriculum corresponded to one another. It was one competence that was not really clear. It was related to the competence to use tool, such as instrument and analog tools or digital tools. However, the following goal is, for example, to be found among the general learning goals in the Swedish curriculum, and is phrased that the students can use modern technology as an instrument for knowledge seeking, communication, creation and learning. And here it was argued that it was a competence that could be framed as competence to use tools. The third dimension in the Gnubic cube was the issue of finding out possible added value when the 3 nations should work together in the mathematics. Looking specifically at national differences, these differences was considered by itself possible to promote curiosity and motivation for the students. Just a mere fact to think about, to work with someone from another country could be a motivation as such. Language neighbors, the 3 nations, when they talk their own national language, it is actually possible for a Swede to understand both a Norwegian-speaking person and a Danish-speaking person. The same goes for all the 3 countries. Even though it's hard, it is possible. The benefit of being each other's language neighbors was considered too. It is often a need in mathematics to be able to explain how you are dealing with mathematical concepts. Sometimes that can be hard. So it was argued that when you speak with a person that you need really to make it clear for him or her what you are talking about, it could be regarded as an added value. In addition to that, it was argued that students perhaps would feel less embarrassed to talk about general or simple mathematical concepts that they think they should already know about. But when they try to explain it for another person in another country with a language neighbor, that might be more easy and possible to do. 3. Since they were dealing with the language neighbors and finding out that it's not always possible to understand each other, then it might be a motivation for them to require mathematical language for clarification. 4. In relation to national differences, it was regarded a possible added value for the mathematical subject. It can be used as a foundation to discuss differences that are related to the width, some of variety and some in range. 5. It is also possible to acquire and compare and contrast national data that comes specifically from the student's own everyday life, and then they can compare and contrast each other's life condition. And 6, it was also argued that national differences can encourage topic-related reflections. The Gnubic cube in mathematics then came up with the following visualization. On the blue side we have the key content, on the black side we have the competences represented, and on the red side we have the list of possible added values. Here again are a clarification of the content, the competences, and the added value. Now the Gnubic cube will be used as an analytical tool in order to analyze what kind of activities and what kind of key content, competences, and added value the different tasks the students were working with in phase 1. For example, in the scenario 1, the students made Christmas brain teasers for one another. The students individually made up tricky mathematical problems that they sent over to the other nation, and a student in the other nation would solve the puzzle, and then they will meet in a Skype meeting to have a real-time presentation of how they solved each other's tricky problem and got feedback from each other. Here we can see in this particular scenario how the key content number 1 was addressed. 3 different competences were addressed, as well as 2 added values were identified. I will now present 7 more different activities that the students did perform, as well as showing what kind of parts in the Gnubic cube in relation to key content, competences, and added value that was analyzed to be presented in the different scenarios. In scenario 2, students send problem-solving tasks to one another based on division. They were working with fractions. For example, we can see how one team of students send a tricky subject to their fellow partners, asking about who wins La Liga, then presenting some of the scored points the different soccer teams had gained so far. Here we can see that 1 key content is addressed, 3 competences, as well as 3 added values. In scenario 3, students were collaborating, choosing and solving fractions in the 7th and 8th grades. Collaborating. They got some problems that they discussed and tried to solve together. Again, we can see key content, competences addressed, and added value defined. Scenario 4, glossaries. Here the Swedish, Danish, and the Norwegian students compared and contrasted how they explained and what wording they were using addressing different types of mathematical concept in order to see what kind of similarities and differences is there in the mathematical language. Scenario 5 was related to price comparison, looking at everyday merchandises that is commonly used in everyday life in Norway, Denmark, and Sweden in order to compare and contrast the prices that they had. Scenario 6, packing factory. Here geometry and measurements in units was specifically addressed in relation to key content, also involving a range of competencies that the students trained, as well as finding out added values. Here are some additional pictures of the work the students did in this particular scenario. And scenario 7 was linked to school investigation, looking specifically at specific aspect that could be found out in each country's respective schools. And finally, scenario 8, diary packaging. Here, a number of key content was addressed, and students were working on each side, comparing and contrasting each other's result in Skype meetings. We can here see that the use of the Gnubic cube can identify different kinds of topic-related areas, competences that could be trained, and added value that one gets with cross-border collaboration. The Gnubic cube is not only a tool for analysis, it can also be a help for the teachers and as well as the researchers in order to help out during idea generation, when to design and find out what to do next when the students should collaborate in mathematics in the cross-border setting of the Scandinavian project, the GNU project. Thank you.